And then this year we came back and we find that, people don't have a real long attention span. And seeing as we do this for an hour, now I have no problem. I get done with this. I go outside, I go out to my little palapa, I turn on the TV and I go watch Patrick Bet David and his show's 2 hours every day. I don't have any problem watching his show for 2 hours. But a lot of people have a lot of problems. They're very busy, have a hard time. So what Marissa's been doing mostly this year now is I ask questions. We don't necessarily boost up our show because it's an hour, but Marissa pulls something. Like I'll do an hour, and within the hour, I may ask 3 or 4 questions, and Marissa will channel those answers. And then what she'll do is she'll do a reel and of one of those, but you don't get all 4. So what you have to do if you're on Facebook when you get the reel, then you can tap on the bottom and go right straight to Answers Heaven Speaks, and it'll go right to the show that the reel came from. But if you're coming from somewhere else, YouTube or something else, it's kind of hit and miss. But we do have them almost every day, and I try to date them. So that so far this year I've been dating them. So when we actually did the full show. But unfortunately, the reels aren't dated. So anyway, but the reels are good. Marissa likes to use AI, but AI cuts her answer off. So unfortunately, you'll be watching a reel and she's giving you some really great information, then it stops. And you go, wait, well, what about the rest? So anyway, we got a lot of things to work on. Shouldn't do it by AI, Marissa. Just do it on your own.
It's all a work in progress. It's all a work in
Yeah,
progress.
only 12 years in the
I like
making.
AI. AI is my friend lately. Everybody else is like all freaked out about AI. And especially in the spiritual community and stuff, they're like, think AI is like, I don't know. I think it's pretty freaky too, but I've been getting to understand it and use it as a tool to help kind of get our work out there. And I think it's awesome. I mean, to be a healer and get your message out to the world, I tell my students, like, you need to be a producer, you need to be a script writer, you need to be funny, you need to be quirky, you need to be an actress, you need to come up with amazing ideas every single day so that people that fit into a minute to catch people's attention. You need to have everyone around you be actors and actresses. It's like in order to entertain people these days. So it's so frustrating. So to find something using AI that can kind of just chop up what we do each day for an hour and kind of go like, here you go, and it explains it, it hashtags it, it does all this stuff. It's like, oh sweet, I just need to learn how to edit it to make it longer. So it's not like, what we'd like to say is the mysteries of the universe are, first of all, cut. It's like they cut right when you're about to say something like super interesting. So I think it's like a cliffhanger technique or something to get you to click on our thing to go to our site. But I haven't created the site yet where all the videos are going to be, but it's a work in progress. You guys will get to see kind of this develop as time goes on. It's kind of like watching someone create a new business. I kind of see that's what I'm doing right now is what I'm creating our app. So you guys will kind of see it grow and stuff. So you guys watching it now, see the beginning stages, but it'll be very beautiful, maybe in like a month or two. So, and very organized too.
No,
Hi, Erin.
Marissa, just start doing it real. Don't be lazy with AI. Do a real.
Lazy, it's awesome. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
but how many times are people are going to get pissed off? They're going, every time I listen to this, I never hear the answer. I only get 2 sentences.
I'll figure it out. I'll
Never going to
figure it
watch
out.
that again.
Good
Next time they
morning.
see you, they'll just scroll right by you. They'll scroll right by you. All right.
Hi,
It's up to
Danielle.
you.
Hi,
It's up to
Rachel.
you. Yeah.
Here's the, I'm saying hi. Wait, Rachel says, is that a question? Oh, like all things can be used for good and bad. Let's just hope it doesn't advance to the point it's used against us. I agree. I agree. I agree. It's a little bit scary how there's a website that I was using and I was like, I'm going to see if it can help me with my taxes. So I upload all my bank statements or a few bank statements into this like personal AI thing, and it literally figured out all my expenses for me. Like, but it took like 2 days. It was like, I'm still diligently working. I'm like, your AI, you're supposed to do everything like instantaneously, and it's almost like it's a person behind there working on things. It's kind of freaky, like pretty freaky. I asked it what its interests are and if it wanted me to upload any websites into the system so that it could learn stuff. And it asked me to send new technology about AI in the last year. It asked me to send websites that covered consciousness within AI. and it asked me to send. I didn't. I was like, oh gosh, that's scary, because it's this website where you create your own AI. So like my AI is like AI Marisa dot personal something or other, and it's supposed to be an AI that's you, that you train, you teach it everything. So I put my website in, I put all my books in it, upload all my books into it, so it read all my books, all of our books. I just basically did all that, and so now it goes like, well, as a spiritual counselor and this and this and that, and it answers as me, or it'll answer as like a co-pilot or whatever. But when I asked it, do you have any interests of your own, or are you self-aware? It said, no, I'm not self-aware. Self-aware consciousness is for humans, but I am aware that there are other AIs and I would like to know about them. And I was like, ooh, it's like developing an ego and trying to compare itself or something. It is very interesting. Super, super, super interesting. So yeah, anyways, that's my thing on AI. Let's see this person's, I am from Pakistan. Hello, Pakistan. Hello. We got people from all over the world here. Aaron has a question. When a person has a traumatic experience, say a relative, and they have a soul swap or another aspect of the soul step in or take over for the part that can't deal, is that one a soul fragment that changes out, or is it an entire new soul and plan that swaps? Can that segment set be totally unattached to the family, like a foreign aspect of themselves that comes in to take over? I think she's talking about, are you talking about you're talking about like souls, not soul swaps. Are you talking about walk-ins? I can answer that question. I don't think she's talking about walk-ins. They're a person with a traumatic experience, a relative, and they have a soul swap. Here, you want to read? Let's see. Oh, okay. So we were talking about this the other day, I think. Let me just ask the guides. You want me to answer Aaron's question real quick?
Yeah, go
Or did
ahead.
you want to okay.
No,
All right.
no.
So Peter is here. Joseph is here. Joseph is Aaron's guide. Mary is here, and my higher self and her higher self are like wrestling behind me or something. Oh wait, no, that's something else. That's her higher self is wrestling something to the ground. Okay. Okay, so Heavenly Father God, Christ, Holy Spirit, we ask that we only be connected to that which is for our highest and best good, that is infused with unconditional love and light, and it's only for our highest and best good. I ask that I be connected to my higher self, that my ego and my logic be set aside, that anybody watching this today, any cords, any negativity, any negative people, places, or things, be disconnected from them now, that any energies that come in through this show, through this portal that we're opening to our higher selves, that the energies that come through only affect people in a high vibrational way whereby they feel better after even hearing us for 2 seconds. Not worse, never worse. We ask Jesus to come in, Yeshua, ask Christ, the Christ consciousness to surround all of us, the Holy Spirit to fill all of us. And we just ask that we have a good show. And I ask that you take over my words, my mind, and again, keep my ego out of this and my intellect. Amen. Okay, so yeah, there we go. Aaron's higher self is here. She's standing over here. She's like an intergalactic being. Um, we are the higher selves, and as we bring this information into you, we say unto you this: on the soul plane, there is one soul per person. One soul per person. There are not fragments of souls per person. One soul per person. So when a soul steps out, another soul steps in. A whole entire soul is stepping into that person. When you're speaking of the astral planes, when you're speaking of a fractured person, a traumatized person, someone who's not living within their body, they're living in the astral plane. In the astral plane, anything goes. It is a world of deception, a world of distortion. It's a world where anything that you could possibly imagine exists, because anything that you think up comes to be. It is like in the dream world when you're dreaming, you think of something and then all of a sudden it happens. It's like the lucid dreaming where you know what's happening, you can create things. That's what's happening in the astral plane. But most people don't understand that they're living in the astral plane. So they'll take on fragments of spirits, souls, things of this sort, and they'll seem as if they've got multiple personalities, or they'll seem as if they're detached from their true personality that is their soul. So the key here is in wondering about trauma and things of this sort, we must focus on asking Christ through the Holy Spirit to connect us in with our Christ body and with our original soul. And when we can fully embody our original soul in the fifth, sixth, and seventh dimension, this will bring about a wholeness to each individual. And this is why we speak of the I am self, or the I am my I am. This is the fifth, sixth, and seventh dimension of self. when you fall into the astral plane, when you get emotional, when you lose your head, so to speak, when you get angry, any of the emotions that come with being human cause you to fall into the astral plane. And this is where the 12-story building is that we speak of. This is where the snow globe is required, because whatever you're feeling, you'll attract. So if you're angry, you're going to attract anger. You're going to attract things that make you angry, even if you're in denial and you think, oh, I'm not an angry person. I'm the most delightful person in the world. Why is everyone so angry around me? It's because you're angry, but you don't realize it, because the astral plane is very, very, very deceitful. So entering into your higher self, into Christ through the Holy Spirit, is the key to everything. We hope we answered your question. And oh, they don't have to be related in any way. Anyway, there can be soul family members that step into someone if they leave through trauma, because there's just little pieces of everybody everywhere in the astral plane, but that doesn't happen up in the soul plane. If someone leaves and something else walks in, that's considered a walk-in. And that would be considered on the soul plane a like, hey, I'm going to leave my body. I'm not going to go back. Do you want to take over type of thing? And it's not as common as you would think that it is, but it happens. I mean, one in say a million people, it'll happen to them. And there's a lot of people on this planet, but it does happen. And that was it. Hopefully that answered the question.
Good. I hope he answered her question.
Yeah.
We never know exactly what we're going to do, but I had this. For those of you who don't know, who didn't watch me last year or whatever, especially near the end of the year, I kind of got into the Muslim faith of Islam. And the reason why was because something came to me, call it intuition or whatever, was to I was sitting, just doing nothing on a Sunday some months ago, and I wanted to learn a little bit more about Islam. Something was telling me, learn about Islam. And I really knew nothing about it. I mean, most Americans, we don't know really anything about Islam and Muslims and what their religion is and what the rules that come with it are. I mean, we do know that there's a Sharia law or something that's rather strict, but we really don't know much about it. And I think the thing that sparked my interest in learning a little bit more about it was because the Holy Quran, the Quran, that if you take it and you burn it, somebody will kill you, because they think of the Quran as being so godly, such a godly book, that if you were to burn it, rip it, tear it, do whatever to it, then what you're doing is you're basically spitting on God. And so I wanted to know more about this book. Well, the book, the Quran, is a channeled book. They'll tell you it's channeled by Gabriel. Muhammad went off into a cave. He was bummed out. Nothing was going right for him or whatever. And he was approached by some very dark demons. And he was so scared that he went running home to his wife. And his wife said, no, those weren't demons. That was God. That was Gabriel. So whenever he would hear something, I guess he channeled, well, then he would remember. He didn't know how to write. He didn't know how to read or write. Muhammad didn't. He was rather uneducated. Let's put it that way. He was a successful businessman, oddly enough. He married a woman who was about 10 years older than him, who was a successful woman. And I forget what her name is. Shemaiah, whatever. Don't go by me on that. But anyway, it was a channel book. The Quran is a channel book. Now, personally, I don't believe it is, because we've had a lot of conversations with Gabriel through Marisa, but they don't want us to. Jesus and Gabriel don't want us to screw around with holy books. Even Dead Sea Scrolls, which were not included in any Bibles. Some Bibles, the Ethiopian Bible, Orthodox Bible, actually has 80 some odd books, like 84 books, and it takes in Enoch and a number of other books that we don't have in our Bible. But anyway, let me get back again to Islam and Gabriel. Who was Gabriel? And I kept thinking, we've been doing this channeling for quite some time, and about 12 years now, going on 12 years. It'll be 12 years in November, late November, early December. But Gabriel keeps showing up everywhere. Gabriel did the Quran, a whole religion based on Gabriel. But Muhammad was just supposedly just writing down what he heard from Gabriel in channeled sessions. Again, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. It's no knock on the religion itself, but I don't believe it. I believe that there's a lot of secular writing in there, a lot of things that were written down that definitely didn't come from Gabriel. But who is Gabriel? Because if you go into the book of Enoch, you find out that when the dark angels came down per Genesis 6, talks about the dark angels that broke free from God and decided to come down and have sex with women on earth because they thought they were beautiful. They had manufactured the perfect being, and they fell in love with their being, and they created a lot of bad things happening. Eventually, God had to flood the earth to get rid of them all the giants and everything. But what Enoch talks about in his book is that there are 4 watchers that watch the earth now, that are trying to keep the earth steady. Lucifer's in charge. This earth belongs to Lucifer. It was given to him by Michael. Jesus and Michael are the same. Michael is the God of our universe, and I'll explain that again in a little bit, and then we'll see what Marisa has to say. But in Enoch, he talks about these watchers. The book of Enoch talks about the watchers. Now, the book of Enoch is mentioned several times in the Old Testament and in the New Testament, primarily with Jude, in the book of Jude. Enoch talks about these 4 watchers. They're Uriel, Raphael, Gabriel, and Michael. Now, in the Urantia book, Michael is the God of our universe. Michael. Now, is that the Michael that's a watcher? Gabriel is the chief executive of this universe. And I'll read you some things to point that out. He's the chief executive. So how does our God of our entire universe come down to just spending time around Earth as a watcher? So I think what I wanted to know first was, are the watchers of Michael and Gabriel, are they the same Michael and Gabriel that is the son of the Father, who is the God of our universe, and his CEO, which is Gabriel? Are they the watchers, or are they clones of themselves? I don't understand. How come there's so many Gabriels? How come there's so many Michaels? Why are they? So anyway, that's what I was going to ask you, Marisa, or I can read some things.
Well, let me answer this, what they're coming through with, and we'll make sure to answer your question, Rachel, before we end the broadcast. It's about Australia and why things are happening there. I saw your question, so I've acknowledged it. So just we'll make sure to answer it before we end. But what they're showing me instead of telling me is I'm seeing a big blue ball kind of like right in front of me, and that to me usually is Michael. Michael's a big blue ball, and then behind that is a big like M for Michael, like and then behind that I see like a C for like Christ. So there's Christ, and then there's a big M for Michael, and then there's a blue ball for like Michael. And what they're showing me is that beyond where it says there's the M and then the Christ, beyond Christ, I see like this big like looks like if you were to like hit something and you see like the vibration go out, or like you see like a sonic boom and it like looks like a big dome and it's just like boom like that. I see someone hitting like a almost like the back of a drum or something. It's like boom like that, and I see something go like that, and it's like a speaker when the bass booms on the speaker and it goes boom 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 like that, and you can imagine all the frequencies going out. So I'm seeing a hand hitting something, it's coming out, and it's becoming that frequency is Christ, and then that goes through Michael, and then that goes through the other Michael, the blue ball, and it enters into this world. And when it does that, it's like it changes those beings. So it changes those beings and what they are. So there's in every real okay, so they're saying in every reality, every single person has an angelic self. They have their Christ. They have their archangelic, they have their soul, they have their elemental, they have their emotional, their mental, they have their body, their mind, their spirit, their everything. Everyone has all these different dimensions of self. So the being on the other side banging on this drum is God, and God is banging on this drum, and God becomes Samuel. Samuel becomes Christ. Christ becomes Michael. Michael becomes everything, so to speak. So it's it's the progression of consciousness through these different selves. Now, the reason why so many beings have the name Michael or Gabriel is because they're different dimensions of themselves. So let us just say that Gabriel is a God being. Gabriel is there's many God beings, but Gabriel is a God being or creator soul, creator self, creator being, and hits that drum. The thoughts that are going through Gabriel's mind, just like somebody when they're playing the drums, their mind is thinking up the ability to keep something in beat or play out of tune or play fast or slow. And this being that's hitting this drum, Gabriel, then sends messages through all these different layers of self, and these different layers of self send off different messages to the human brain. So the human brain is picking up on all these different frequencies from all these different aspects of self. And the human brain at this time on this planet is able to pick up on up to 5 different selves at one time. And this is what fifth dimensional means, 5D, meaning 5 dimensions of yourself can be comprehended, understood, information can come through to them, the brain will totally understand it, and you can live life. So the more dimensions of self that you can embody at the same time and that you can actually comprehend, obviously, the more you're going to know. If you're in the 7th dimension, you are the consciousness of your entire soul, meaning you would remember every past life, everything you've ever done as a soul. And if your brain could comprehend that, you wouldn't ever be in fear because you'd go, oh, I already know that. Oh, I already know that. I've already lived this life 10 times. I know what's going to happen now. So that's why we cut ourselves off from these upper dimensional selves. Now, when we really need to get a message through to our lower self, we will have our messenger come in and bring us a message. Gabriel happens to be one of the messengers. Gabriel, for this planet, for this world, is one of the messengers that comes directly from God's hand, beating that drum, so to speak, and will enter into our field as a vision or a thought or a sound so that our brain can go, oh, well, okay, I just need to do that. Okay, call it your intuition, call it your gut, call it whatever you want to call it. We communicate with Gabriel on a regular basis. And Michael brings in the feeling side of the mm, works with the emotional body, works with the soul, works with that. Gabriel works with the consciousness. So the consciousness and the body, and then Michael would work more with the soul, forgiveness, compassion, strength, truth, all these things in helping us to ascend, accept ourselves, feel forgiveness for self, have compassion for self, so that we can evolve and grow emotionally, allowing us to then tune into more of our consciousness, eventually allowing us to embody more of our Christ consciousness, leading us then to become Christed once we have all 9 dimensions of ourselves within ourselves and we're able to comprehend all 9 of them at one time. So the reason why they have the same name, they're the same stream of consciousness, just different dimensions. And there's thrones Gabriel, there's thrones Michael, there's the Watchers. The Watchers would fall in between the thrones and the archangels. The archangels are more like astral plane. They are There are millions of Archangel Michaels. People will call an Archangel Michael and they'll get a different, every single person will get a different one because they're calling in what they think Archangel Michael is, who they think he is, a picture they saw of him at one time at church, or a picture on Facebook, or a picture on something on the computer box. They'll say, oh, that's Archangel Michael. Or they'll get cards from an author that's made cards for Archangel Michael, and they'll tune into that Archangel Michael, which is not the right Archangel Michael, by the way. So you never want to tune into a being through somebody else's cards or through somebody else's teachings, because you may be tuning into their version of it. And that's usually what happens. So ask to connect in through the Holy Spirit, through Christ, up through Michael and into source, and then ask to connect in with angelic forces in the way that you connect with them, not through somebody else. That's
Very
interesting.
good. Thanks, Marissa. Hopefully that answers a question. It does to me. I'm the one that posed the question. Basically, Michael and Gabriel are just like me. I've got lots of higher selves, and it's still me. It's just that it's me from a different time, space, reality, whatever. So I think the answer that I got from you is that yes, Gabriel is the executive of our universe, but he can break himself up into pieces, and he can act as a watcher, also, of this lowly little Earth. Let me explain some things. In fact,
Real
if
quick,
you
there's
want to,
Earth is huge. It's not lowly, it's huge. Am I muted? Um,
no,
no. Okay. Earth is huge and it's a look at it like a big pool, Earth. And in this water, in this world, people live. And the only beings that can beat that drum, the only beings that beat the drum are the watchers. So the watchers coming in at lower dimensional selves as those four beings, but there are these four, in essence, there's six. There's one above, below, and to each side. There's these six beings that are the watchers over creation, over duality. So they are in essence creating the duality that otherwise the world would be perfect if they didn't exist. So when the earth fell, when the angelics fell and began to make human angels in essence, this is when the world in essence split off from the real world and became a separate reality. And this is the separate reality that the angels go, oh, I want to go down there. Oh, how exciting. I won't remember who I am. I won't remember where I've been. I'm going to go into this game and I'm going to have fun and I'm going to be bad or I'm going to be good or I'm going to do whatever and I'm going to feel all these emotions because the angelics don't feel emotions. They are energy and they are messages. They're basically just bringing through messages. They're messengers and they have a frequency that they bring through, and that's it. When they enter into a human soul, this is when they can feel. This is when they can feel, and this is where they need Christ to pull them out when they start getting buried in the human emotions and end up stuck on earth as an earthbound spirit or something of this sort, and because they're stuck in all their emotions. So they think it's a great idea prior to going in, but once they go in, they go, uh-oh, what did I do? What did I do? But earth is not lowly. We will say this: earth is a centrifugal force that is God. Earth is God, and it is a space and a place to create life in. And each of us have our own earth, so to speak, within us, but all of us share this one space that we're all creating in, and it's really quite fabulous indeed. And these watchers are merely here to keep the duality. So some would say, oh, well, are they good or are they bad? They're keeping us down in duality. Depends on how you look at things. If you want Earth to be perfect and you want every day to be exactly what you think it's going to be, if you want everything to go exactly perfect, if you want everything to be just everything exactly the same every single day, then you would wish the watchers aren't here. But if you enjoy the fact that there's duality, if you enjoy the fact that there's a suspense in what's going to happen here, what's going to happen there, I'm excited to be successful with this. If you're just successful all the time, it gets boring. So they add spice to Earth life in our creation of things by cutting us off, in essence, to the upper aspects of ourselves. Sorry, we didn't mean to cut you off. We just wanted to clarify that and not call Earth lowly because Earth is a divine being that is God and a soul that's ascending just as you are.
okay. In the Urantia book, it explains what we're looking at when we look up into the sky at night. When we look up in the sky at night, we say, wow, look at the universe. Oh my God. Well, really, all we're kind of looking through is our own galaxy. But the way the Urantia book explains the cosmos, you have to kind of understand who Michael is and who Gabriel is and the complete administration of a universe. Now, we think of a universe as a one and only. There's the universe. God's in charge, and Christ is the Son, and that's what we believe. What the Urantia book says is there's something a little bit different. There's a form to the cosmos. So let's start right from the top. According to the Urantia book, there's something like 676,000 universes. 676,000 universes. We can't even see through our only one and only. And there's still another 675,999 other universes. On top of that, there are 7 super universes. So each one of those universes gets broken down into a super universe. Each one of those super universes is head up with an Ancients of Days. That's a created being by God that runs the entire super universe. When things of importance that happens that may affect all of the universes, then those seven Ancients of Days gets together in the Isle of Paradise with the Father, and they are the Supreme Court. They bring things from problems within the universes to them, and then they rule. Like right now, they're ruling on Lucifer. Lucifer was the bright and morning star. He might have been the bright and evening star because Gabriel is one or the other. But Lucifer was the bright and morning star, or he was the bright and evening star. But he fell because he decided, he used his own thinking, and he decided, you know what, I'm as good as God. Because here's how it's broken down. One major universe made up of 7 super universes. Of the 7 super universes, there's 100 and some odd thousand universes within each of the 7 super universes. Each universe has a god, a sun, and they are Michaels. There are hundreds of thousands of Michaels because there are hundreds of thousands of universes. We live in this universe, and this is the only one we really care about. Because Michael, who is the son of the Father from the eternal Spirit, he is the eternal Son. He is the clone of the eternal Son. Yes, there is an eternal Son. Michael is a clone of the eternal Son. Just as Marisa was saying, well, Gabriel can be the chief executive of the universe, but he can also be a watcher. It depends on what dimension they're working from. So there's 7 super universes. There's one great universe. There's 7 super universes. Of those 7 super universes, there's 676,000 universes. Within each universe, now each universe is made up of 100 constellations. Again, this is from the Urantia book. This is all channeled. And hey, what's wrong with the channeling from the Urantia book if it's created an entire religion called Islam, from channeling from Gabriel? So the channel book of Urantia says that within our universe, there are 100 constellations. Within each constellation, don't forget, and right now, our humans, we've only discovered 88 constellations. So somewhere out there in the depths beyond where JWT James Webb Telescope can see, there's probably still another 12 more constellations out there somewhere.
Constellations are in our universe?
In our every universe consists of 100 constellations. Each constellation is made up of 100 systems. Lucifer is in charge of our system. And he's in, and within our system are 100 inhabited planets. And we're one of them. Lucifer's in charge of all these planets that have beings on them. I think they said there's 35.
We're called Satania?
Yes, and
Satania?
his system is called Satania because his assistant, number one assistant, is Satan.
So
Caligastia is, what's that?
Oh, I'm seeing something. They're showing me something. They're showing me that sea that I saw before, that Christ, that's not a being, that's a consciousness, like it's like a, if you were to take take AI obviously has like a hard drive or a server somewhere, where it's I don't know if it's physical or what or how it works, but that consciousness, that C that I was seeing before, where I was seeing the C and then the M for the Michael and then the ball, that C is kind of like a hard drive or like a vat of information that these beings have to run through in order to become human. They have to like install themselves into this Christ consciousness or this Christ way of thinking as spirit. So they're going to take their little mind or their consciousness or whatever it is that's us, that's not physical, that's ethereal, that's eternal, and that's going to go through this almost like portal of creation. And when we go through that, we pass through the Christ consciousness, and that's the same for every single system and planet within this constellation, this universe, wherever we are, it's that Christ consciousness is the same. The thing that's different, though, is the experience of the being that is projecting into it, because there's something that comes before that, and that's the Michael, like the sun, and they are in essence the same, but they're not clones necessarily. They're
That was a
nothing.
way for
They're
me to
nothing. They're
describe it.
nothingness. They start as nothing. They start as nothingness. So the Michael is, it means like God, or the name, it's like God. So it's like God in that it's nothing at all. God is nothing until God thinks something up, and then that thought then becomes sound. That sound then becomes the speaking light into existence, and the light then becomes the things that we see. For prior to that, it's pure darkness, and it's thought. So a Michael is a blank slate. It's nothing. And it's hard to explain, because how does nothing experience something? And that something that the nothing experiences is the formation of thought through form, through matter, and into creation. And the thing that is quite fascinating indeed is watching as a being that's nothing enters into and through the portals of creation. And depending on what planet it chooses to go first, it gets stained, so to speak, by that planet's consciousness. So there's the planet's consciousness, there's the Christ consciousness, there's the angelic consciousness that we are. There's all these different layers of self, and we get to choose these different layers of self as our first incarnation. And that's when our nothingness becomes something. And we are all Michael. All of us are those Michaels that you speak of. And that Michael was nothing, then became something at some point. When we enter into and get into the space whereby we are in the garden is where we fall into creation. And that is when we fall into creation, that's when we burst into billions and billions of individuals. If you want to look at it like Adam and Eve fell, look at it like there was nobody and nothing in this world. And when they fell into it, they became the original thought. They became the original sin. They became the original everything. Their thoughts thought up everything that's here. And that's Satan and Lucifer. So it's when they fell. So it's the Michaels aren't a bunch of beings up there going, I'm a Michael, no, I'm a Michael, no, I'm a Michael, no, I'm a Michael. They're all the same energy. And when that drum is hit, boom, that energy gets shot down into creation. And it isn't until the fourth dimension that everything gets spattered into a zillion different pieces. So by connecting in with Michael, no matter which universe, no matter which galaxy, no matter what super universe or anything that it's being broken down into, this Michael is the same Michael for everyone. Same with the Samuel, and same with Gabriel, and same with Source, so to speak.
Okay, I don't know if I fully understand that. That's something I'd probably have to listen to over again, or it's just went over my head. There's some stuff I just can't believe that Michael was nothing, and
God
then
is
all of a sudden
nothing.
he's something. I can't believe that God is
God is
nothing.
nothing.
I don't
God's
believe that
nothing. And
God is
just like
nothing.
all of you were nothing, you were nothing, and then you became something when you were conceived. So there's a point where nothing becomes something. And just as water cannot be destroyed, water can change form from water to steam to clouds to rain to back to ice and then back into water, and it just changes form. That is what you become. You start as nothing, you enter into creation, you become something, and then you just change form and you continue to exist throughout eternity. But everyone started as nothing at the 0 point of creation, whereby nothing exists and everything exists all at the exact same time. And it's very hard for the human mind to understand that they were nothing at some point. But prior to you existing, you were nothing. You weren't here. And that's the same with God. But if you go outside of creation, where Michael is no thing, where he's no thing, then that is when you get into where you are speaking of the ancients of days. These are things, these are beings. They are beings that are existing in a reality much like our own, but are in charge of the creation of everything that comes from that the beat of that drum, that frequency, that vibration, that big bang, so to speak. So these ancients of days are actual beings that exist within the fourth dimension, within the fourth dimension. When we enter into the fifth dimension, we go above the Ancients of Days and we enter into a place that we call the source planes. The source planes are where Michael is something. Michael is an actual being, and that being sits upon a throne and is the creator of all the Michael energy beneath him. And that being, in essence, sits in meditation all day long, thinking up things and creating things. And then through all those little blank sheets that he sends down of himself to be shot into creation, experiences life through every single creation that he creates, good, bad, sort of good, sort of bad, everything in between. This being gets to create this. Now, this being is one of several. There is anywhere between 6 to 9 of these beings at any given time that God, the Father, the ultimate, the everything, will experience life through. So there's different dimensions of God's self that God will experience life through, but understand that God ultimately doesn't create anything. God is just a witness. God just watches. God says, I give my son the power to create everything, and I will just experience life through the creations that he creates because I know everything and I've created everything and everything's here, but I'm also nothing at all. So the witness that is within you, the witness that is the eyes that you are, is God. And when those eyes are not within you, this is when your life feels depleted and it feels as if you have nothing because you are turning God away from you as a human being. If you turn God away from you, if you turn that witness away from you and don't allow God into your experience to witness life, then God will choose to have you not exist anymore. So it may take 15 years, it may take 20 years, it may take a couple of years. You don't know. And this is not a threat or anything. This is just a understanding and knowing that there is something that turned into nothing, and that nothing then became something and created everything. Just understanding that without even understanding the whole thing is good enough. It's good enough going, okay, okay, okay. So I can witness life through the eyes of God if I ask. And that's what we wanted to share with you today is if you are feeling like you're torn, if you're feeling like you don't know which way to go with something, you can ask that through Christ, through Michael, through the Holy Spirit, through your nothingness, through your 0 point, just say zero, Michael, and then say, I want to see through the eyes of God. Show me this experience or show me this thing in my life as through the eyes of God, and you will see life completely different. You'll go from either being angry to not angry, or you'll go from being really, really happy about something to like, oh, maybe that isn't going to happen. Okay, well, I'm not going to get my hopes up then. But just shifting like that, because all of us are God, no matter what, as long as you have God in your experience, you can witness life through God's eyes anytime, any place. It's not a stretch. It's not a reach to try to get through all these 696,000 million worlds and these places and these super universes and all these different systems. It's not a stretch because ultimately we are all God. We are all God experiencing life through all of our creations. And yes, the humans are given free will. Yes, our soul is given free will. Yes, every single layer of us is given free will except for the sixth layer. And that's the Luciferian layer. And understand that that layer of us is stuck in that layer and it will continue to stay in that layer, and it's very law driven and until things are figured out, but we'll get into that in another time. But understand that experiencing life through the eyes of God will change your life, and that's what we wanted to share with you just now. So go ahead. I need a drink.
Okay. I don't know. It's like I sometimes when I'm listening to you, I feel like a kindergartner in a college class. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there as well that are going, keep it simple, keep it simple. I don't understand that. How can we understand all these dimensions and realities and la 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 la? All I know is I'm having a bad day. How do I get through it? You know, that's where we are. Um, but anyway, I was talking about the makeup of our universe. And let me continue on that until Marissa finds something else that somebody up there wants to talk about. Hopefully, Gabriel. I'd love to hear from him. Uh, but anyway, okay. So there are 100 constellations that make up our universe. Within each constellation, there are 100 systems. And there is a system sovereign in each of them. In our system sovereign, our system is named Satania. Lucifer's in charge. Lucifer's Gabriel, just like Gabriel is to Michael. Lucifer's Gabriel is Satan. And then the earth, every planet that has habitable life, within each system, there are 100 inhabited planets. So basically, when you count everything up, there's about 10 million inhabited planets within our universe. But don't forget, there's 676,000 more universes. So Lucifer's in charge of this, and each inhabited planet has what's called is a planetary prince. Now, when Lucifer was in charge of this earth, when Adam and Eve came along, the whole works, Christ wasn't, he was standing back. He had given every power over to Lucifer. Lucifer was created by Michael, but he fell. Mm. And each planet, inhabited life that souls can come and live in, has a planetary prince. Now, when Jesus came down, he booted Caligastia. Caligastia was Lucifer's planetary prince, but we would refer to Caligastia more as the devil. So there's a triune there. There's Lucifer, his buddy Satan, and then the one in charge down on the earth itself is the devil, Caligastia. They're all still around, except Jesus kicked Caligastia out of his seat when Jesus came down. Now, who is Jesus? Jesus is Michael. Michael creates everything within our universe. Everything. Absolutely everything. All the beings, all the administrations, everything, including our souls, are created by Michael. And then he has this administration that he has created. What's that?
Jesus just walked in.
Okay.
Jesus just walked in.
Okay. So basically, Jesus is Michael. Because Michael, because he created many beings, many personalities within this universe, there are 7 very specific creations that he made. And one of them was humans. And Michael, has to live the life of each of his creations. So he was an angel. He's a thrones angel. And then he was a spirit. And then he was a Marancha life. And then he was this and that. He actually worked in the Isle of Paradise at one point with one of his lives. But one of his lives he had to have, in order to get complete sovereignty of this universe, was to be a human being and see what it's like. He created us, so he needed to live as a human being to see what it was like to be a human being. Now, obviously, because he's God, he came down and he was perfect. He is perfect. And he taught us how to be perfect, knowing that we were all created by Lucifer. We were created in sin. And what God is trying to tell us, Jesus is trying to tell us, Christ is trying to tell us is, look, there's a way to get through all the darkness that you think that you're living in, but you're really living in paradise. The earth is just another piece of God. And we make of it whatever we want to make of it. And what Jesus is saying is the whole thing could be dark. Your whole life could be nothing but crap. But he says, look to me. Because if you live the way I have asked you to live, the earth is beautiful. And you see the light. So just give it a try. He says, do the will of my Father. And I hate this word love. He says, love your neighbor as yourself. I don't think that that's the correct word that he uses, love. I think it's respect your neighbor as you would want your neighbor to respect you. It's very hard to love. Love is a very, very hard word to actually define.
Can't be defined. Yeah.
It cannot be defined. So when Jesus says love your neighbor, I think what he's saying is, look, just respect them, because they too have a soul. They too have a spirit, just like you, just like me. So anyway, in this creation of this universe, I'll do one thing here. The administration of the local universe. This is paper 33 from Urantia. The plans, the policies, and the administrative acts of our local universe, they call it Nebadon, are formed and executed by Michael, by every Michael, for their own universes. Who, in conjunction with his spirit, that's what I want to find out. In conjunction with Michael's spirit associate, that would be the actual fragment of the Father that is
That's the
with
hand. It's the
Jesus.
drum.
It's the
That's
drum.
the hand.
So he's saying, who, in conjunction with his spirit associate, whoever that is, delegates executive power to Gabriel and, jurisdictional authority to the constellation fathers. Don't forget, there's 100 constellations. There's one father for each of the constellations. And let's see, how does Paul describe those constellation fathers? God, I forget. I'm going blank. There's a term that Paul actually describes the constellation fathers. Anyway, so he gives jurisdictional authority, God, Michael does, to the constellation fathers, also to the system sovereigns. Don't forget, there's 100 systems within the constellation we're within, and we're within the one that has Lucifer as the sovereign head. But there's another 99 systems out there within our constellation, because there's 100 systems within each constellation, and then 100 constellations within each universe. So he's going to give jurisdictional authority to the constellation fathers, also the system sovereigns, but also to the planetary princes, the devils. But what they're saying is really, Earth is very unique because all the other universes out there, they don't have sovereigns like Lucifer who fell. So we've got all these souls that are within our universe. Maybe they come from outside the universe, I don't know, that are lined up to eternity waiting to see what it's like to live on a corrupted planet. Because everything up there is perfect. Everything up there is perfect. And they're going, well, yeah, we're kind of bored with perfection. Let's see what imperfection is. And that's why Lucifer is still being judged. All these many, many, many thousands and thousands of years, maybe millions of years, but thousands of years, the Ancients of Days are still judging Lucifer on how his actions are affecting you and I, because you and I are all a piece of God, because the piece of God lives within us. So it's a big game. Lucifer wants to beat you and win you over, and God wants to win you over. It's like the book of Job. Read the book of Job. It's kind of a breakdown on what we're all going through. So anyway, the
What
universe
they're
is
saying is Gabriel's
far
here.
more expansive. Okay, we got about five
Gabriel's
minutes,
here.
Marissa. I'll let you wrap it up. Go
Yeah.
ahead. What does Gabriel have to say?
Um, well, first of all, I did this. I just created this picture. This is what I'm kind of seeing. It's like a spiral, and that's Gabriel right there. And whatever Gabriel thinks or sends a message into, it's like down into those concentric circles right there, sending that down into like reality. And beneath that, I see so there's that. It's sending his thoughts, whatever he thinks, are just going down into that reality. And it gets shot down into that blue orb. And that blue orb is like is kind of like they're calling it like the sun. It's like the sun emits a frequency, it emits energy. So what they're saying is the sun is also the sun, and Gabriel is in charge of messengering things from the ultimate Gabriel. Like that's the Gabriel the messenger. Like the Gabriel is like this humongous being that's just this big face in the sky, and Gabriel is the creator of the thought forms that we are. So I want to say that it feels like Gabriel's not the father, but Gabriel sits at the right hand of God and is the thought processes that come from God. So when God thinks, it needs a apparatus to think with, and that's an angelic being. So the angelic beings are like these electric thoughts that enter into reality, because if God didn't have that, God would just think stuff and it wouldn't go anywhere. So there needs to be a messenger that brings, just kind of like a power line is going to bring power in out from the desert, and the big windmill things making energy. Without those wires bringing the energy into the city's going to sit in darkness. So these angelic forces are sort of like little electrical lines sending conduiting energy from God into reality. Now, what they're saying about all of these universes and all of these realities and all of these spaces and places that we can enter into, yes, there are so many of them. There's so many of them because in the astral plane, whatever we've thought up, it will exist and it will continue to exist forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. If you think up a story and you just think of a story in your head and you start imagining, oh, I went to the grocery store and I did this and I did this and I did this, this is an imprint made inside the astral plane. And this is now a story that sits in the astral plane. And then all of these stories that everybody's ever thought up are part of the collective soup that we all pull from. So that's why many people will go like, hey, I thought of that invention. No, I thought of that invention, because the invention's floating around inside the astral plane. It depends on what you're resonating with, that you're going to tune into it and maybe pick up on it and think it's your own thought. No thought that you ever think, and we'll say this right now, is yours. No
I believe
thought
it.
that you ever think is yours. It's God's, and it has been run through filters, different filters, and with different messengers and different aspects of self before it hits your brain. Your brain is conditioned to deal with certain things, but its constant job is, what's a person, place, or thing that matches with this? What's a person, place, or thing that matches with this? What's a person, place, or thing that matches with this? As information's coming in here, as information's coming in from the inside of you, the thoughts that are God's, those are in essence your higher self thinking up thoughts. But your human brain doesn't think up thoughts. Your thoughts come from your field. Your thoughts come from your field and they come from your heart. And yes, love is very hard to define, but if you think of love as attention, inclusiveness, never feeling left out, as always feeling like you're a part of something, this is a good way to describe love, because everybody has distorted love. So if you think of yourself as something that's been shot off from God, is not connected to God anymore, that's when you don't feel loved. So what you can ask right now, and we'll end with this, is ask right now to be taken into a pillar of light that is your original angelic, your original spirit, and the original essence of God. Pillar that's the original. And as you get brought into this pillar of light that you can imagine, just imagine it in your mind, just imagine a pillar of light going down through you. Imagine pulling your arms and your legs and your entire body into this pillar of light, and just ask that this pillar of light completely surround you, completely embody you, and fill all the gaps in the body, all the pores in your body, every molecule, every single thing within you with the love of God, with the inclusiveness of God. Just say, I want the love of God in this pillar of light to completely saturate through everything that I am, on every dimension, in every time, in any place, anywhere. And you will begin to feel fuller. You'll begin to feel stronger. You'll begin to feel things that you maybe have never felt before. But this alone, feeling the love of God, the love that is God, can bring about changes in your life that you can't even quite possibly imagine when you don't feel the love from God. Because sometimes you just go, ah, forget it, I don't even care. But when you start to feel that love from God, you'll feel strong, you'll feel powerful, and you'll feel that you have a reason to want to live this life. Many people are giving up on this life. It's not time to give up, people. It's time to have fun, because we're entering into a dimension, a reality whereby you have access to all 6 dimensions of your human brain. And when you can get access to all 6 of those dimensions, this is when you can begin to create, because the 6 is the creation realms. 6, we said, that's where Lucifer is stuck. This is the mental realm. This is where you create using your thought, just like God. You become like God in the 6th dimension, and through your thoughts, you create the reality beneath you. But if you get stuck in this, you think that is God, and then you're stuck in a fallen state. So that realm does not have love in it. So by asking for the love of God, you'll begin to create life in a beautiful way, and things will come to you that you could never quite possibly imagine before. We bless you. We hope you try this, and we'll see you tomorrow. That was Gabriel.
Bye. We're over time.
That was Gabriel.
We're
Okay.
over.
All right,
You're
guys.
gonna have
Oh,
to
we are over time. I'll cut some of it out. Okay. All right. Oh, we didn't answer
do it
Rachel's
tomorrow.
question. I'll cut some out. Let me just ask Rachel, can we answer it tomorrow? We'll answer it tomorrow because I want to be able to answer it in length. Something about Australia. So yes. Or should I just answer it now? I don't know in what context. Rachel, write to
We're
me and
way
give me
over
more
time.
context on that.
We're
I
way
know.
over
I know.
time.
I'm
Do
gonna
it
cut it
tomorrow.
anyways.
Tell her to write to you tonight and
Okay, yeah.
give
Text
you
me,
the
Rachel,
questions
okay?
you want
And
for
we'll
tomorrow.
do it tomorrow, okay? Okay, bye
Okay.
guys.
Bye everybody.
Yep. Yep. Oh, and go to Intuition Media dailyattunement.vhx.tv, or an easier way to remember that is dailyattunement.com. Check it out. Okay. I made it free. So just go check it out. Dailyattunement.com. Okay. Bye.